Need some caffeine today, mate. But what a win! Far out,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mate, what were your initial thoughts on the win? Did you think they could do it coming into the game?
Oh, look, I was hoping, of course. Now there was a lot of people wrote the Aussies off, saying that they definitely weren't a chance. They did get off, I guess, to a slow start, but they proved once again last night that with that tenacity, with that dedication, and that self belief amongst the team that you can actually pull anything off. And they just dominated right from ball one.
So talking a little bit about Cummins' captaincy, last night he was happy to cycle through his bowlers and he really stood up with the ball in hand when his team needed it. Do you think it was one of his most impressive displays as a skipper?
Well, yeah. And look, I think if he looks back in 10, 15 years on his career and think what was a defining moment, this will definitely be it, and people might say, well, it's not Test cricket, it's not T20. This is a 50 over World Cup. It's a massive spectacle. And I've had the pleasure of playing a couple. This is a big moment, 130,000 people in India against a side that was on fire. India came in undefeated. A lot of people thought it'd be a walk in the park for them. His captaincy and the way that he sort of led his men, the bowling changes, the way they were in the field, this will go down as a big, big moment in his career.
So his decision to bowl first, obviously that's very, very brave.
Yep.
Australia were very dominant early on against South Africa in their bowling innings. Do you think that played into his decision in the end, that he thought maybe they could strangle the Indians early on in the innings?
Yeah, look, I think it definitely probably added to that call. At the start when I was like, what? Really? And there was a lot of people on social media going, why don't they bowl first? But look, it turned out to be the right call. And you have to be over there to have a look at the conditions. What they wanted essentially was to try and chase with a bit of dew around, with the ball sliding on nicely, because if you look at that wicket, traditionally it's a wicket that rags, it turns square. So any dew or any sort of moisture on that wicket will allow the ball to skid on and be a bit easy to chase. But I've always thought runs on the board in a final is very, very important. And once again, Pat Cummins has just proved that he backed himself. He backed his bowler, and the bowlers came home for him. So that was such a good call in the end. It was definitely the right call. But as I said, when that toss went, I was like, wow, okay.
So talking about the pitch a little bit, obviously India may have prepared one that was a little bit slower to obviously work towards their bowlers and all their spinners. Do you think it sort of played against them that Australia were able to bowl first and then it did skid on with all the dew in the second innings?
Yeah, look, I was a bit surprised because I think if you have a look at the Indian attack, Mohammad Siraj and Mohammad Shami, they've been on fire this World Cup, and it's their quick bowlers that have been doing very well. Yes, they got the spin options as well, but I actually thought they would have tried to nick off the Aussies, the Aussie top order, because if they could have made some inroads early and got Australia on the back foot, maybe get rid of a David Warner, Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh quickly, then that would have been their best way to try and take out that 240 and dominate. But so I was a bit surprised how they have prepared a low, slow wicket, which probably didn't help them.
So do you think sort of this is one that sort of got away from India? This will be the one that got away and those boys will be thinking, oh, wow, we really should have took this tournament, obviously lifted the trophy at the end of it.
Oh, if you look back on stats and you look back at what's happened throughout this campaign, India should have won. India should have won the tournament with their men on paper, their current form leading into the final. You'd have to say India were definitely favourites, 100% favourites. But it's that old Aussie, mentality, never ever give up. And that goes a long, long way, I think, in big tournaments. The other thing too, and we, a couple of players were asked to send messages to the team, which they read out or did like the video link. And my call to them and my sort of, statement was, we've got a great track record against India and we've won a number of World Cups now. So back yourself. And that's probably the mindset that the Aussies would have definitely gone in with, because it's all well and good, 130,000 people. Overall, the expectation India want to go out there and dominate. But a couple of run-outs, a couple of good catches, some good fielding, all of a sudden that momentum shifts and, the pressure's back on India.
Talking about those video messages, so were they ex-players and did they get played to the current squad before the final?
Yeah, they did. They did like a little collage, and the players that had the opportunity and they wanted to do it. They're asking for some. I was actually down at the farm, but what I found here is I dug this up, my little World Cup ring. Not sure if you can see it.
Awesome.
But 2003 World Cup in South Africa, and I had a look at it this morning. I thought, there's so many great memories when you look at these things, and it's a little ring, but it was given to us from Mike Young, our fielding coach, had them all done up, and something I'll treasure for the rest of my life. And I know that the guys, what this will be meaning to them now, they'll be well into the celebrations, and rightly should be as well, because they have snatched victory in India where a lot of people didn't think it's going to happen.
So we touched on a little bit before how impressive this win was. So there was a lot of pressure on this team. They lost their first 2 games. Maybe there was a few people that may have been panicking a little bit, but instead of, I guess, going away from what they know, Cummins was able to bring the team together, and they really built momentum. And obviously they're flying coming into this game. How big was it sort of for them to be able to regroup after those 2 games and obviously get this end result?
Oh, look, it's massive. And, everyone's getting on the bandwagon now about how good Travis Head. I mean, Travis Head's been so good for a long, long time. And now we're actually seeing all that effort that he's put in his younger career that's actually now starting to fruit. But if you look back throughout the whole squad, guys like Maxwell that, played, that double 100, set that momentum back in Australia's favour. Stoinis had, a number of innings where he played very well and did very well with the ball. Didn't obviously play a part in the final. Marnus Labuschagne was outstanding. So everyone did their job. And I think the captaincy from Pat Cummins, trying to really harness and focus all that energy and that belief into the team. And I know what would have happened through that team meeting before walking out into the ground yesterday would have been, all right, guys, let's just breathe. Let's take this moment in. Let's look around and enjoy the 130,000 people. We might not get this opportunity ever again. And that, to me, would have been that calmness that Pat Cummins would have sort of put over his players, because they weren't looking good the first couple of games. They got off to a bit of a shocker. However, once again, with some belief and talent, they can lift that World Cup trophy.
Travis Head's innings, I guess, century in a World Cup final, that has to be up there with one of the great ODI knocks. Obviously, Adam Gilchrist's century in 2007 comes to mind.
Yeah, well, 100%. What do you get? 137 off 120 balls in a final. And considering he's coming back after a broken finger too, he joined the squad late. He wasn't there for the first game. He sort of flew in. They were going to think, do they get him into the second game? And is his finger going to be okay? He's only been hitting tennis balls. So a lot's to said also about overtraining, in the nets. Also, a lot's to said about that inner confidence, because he sort of came in, and if you look at his preparation against a hard ball, it wasn't ideal. It was way less than ideal. So that belief that he's got and the way that he went out and attacked, and I think with Travis Head, he puts the pressure back on the bowler. Gritty left-handed. He reminds me a bit of David Hooks, actually. The way that Hooks he took on the bowlers and put the pressure back on them. And I know as a bowler, it's hard when left-handers are trying to take you downtown, and if you bowl short, he's very good on the hook shot. But that innings is, he'll go a long, long time to live this down in his own mind, and rightly so.
The bloke that was out there with him for majority of his innings, Marnus Labuschagne, it can't have been an easy tournament for him. He was consistently in the conversation around, is he in, is he out? Is the pitch going to factor in? And then he even admitted himself that he didn't think he was going to be picked for the final the night before. How impressive was it for him to be able to just get rid of the external noise and come out and deliver a knock like that? While he didn't strike at a high rate, he was able to do exactly what he needed to do at the right time.
Yeah, look, 58 not out of 110 balls. And whilst his mate down the other end's dominating, he played that very, very important role. Not just sort of being an anchor, but he was scoring runs quick enough in order of the situation. If they're chasing 330, he would have obviously up the ante a lot more. But the fact that he was there and his experience and to help Travis Head and to guide Australia to that victory will also go a long, long way, because, as you said, he probably would have only found out 24 hours before the game whether or not he was playing or not. And I've been in the team when, You're not sure whether you're playing in a match. You're not sure whether you're going to be in that first 11. You're hoping, and you're preparing that you are, but it does eat away. So, and heaps of people also said that Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne can't play in the same side. Well, they've proven them wrong.
For sure. Virat Kohli is named as player of the tournament, surpassed Sachin Tendulkar's century record in ODI cricket. Is there a fair argument for him to be the greatest ODI batsman of all time?
Well, he's got the most centuries, so you'd have to go on stats, yes.
Yeah.
I've always been a massive Sachin Tendulkar fan. I've always enjoyed his company. I love the way that he played. But if you look at Virat Kohli, and for him to say those beautiful words after he went past, or actually equaled his record and then went past it, he said that I'm just trying to emulate what my hero did. And that's his mindset. He's got that inner determination. He's got that way to be humble enough without being cocky, because he's got the presence on the cricket field. But when you know him off the field, and I've had the pleasure to spend a fair bit of time with him, he's a terrific guy, but he's got that inner belief. He would have to go down as, the greatest ODI batsman. I mean, the stats prove it.
So the balance between bat and ball has also been a pretty big talking point in this tournament. We've seen Mitch Starc come out and call for the 2-ball system to be scrapped. We've seen some massive totals this tournament. As a fast bowler yourself, do you think the game has sort of become too weighted towards the batsman with those 2 balls that remain hard?
Mate, I've always said that, mate. It's a batsman's game. If you ask any, quick out there, they always go, yeah, it's definitely a batsman's game. No, look, I think one thing that got taken away from the fast bowlers, and I think about my era and towards the back end of my era, and then the bowlers now, reverse swing doesn't really play a huge factor anymore. It still can tail occasionally, but that used to be, a massive part of someone's weaponry, and for me personally, if I could try and get a couple of wickets each match in ODI cricket, I'd always back that I'd get 1 or 2 wickets at the back end of my last sort of couple of overs, because you get to about the 40 over mark, you see the ball starting to shape in, makes it hard for the batsman. The ball gets a bit green because they still can't find a white dye. It's always a white paint. You'll either chip off or get the grass stains. But that's cricket. And if the batsmen struggle to see it, well, they've done it throughout their whole career. So I do have to agree. I think that they shouldn't have 2 white balls in cricket. I think they should use 1. And providing it does look like a dog's been chewing on it, well, then keep using it.